in 1980. That was Yo-Yo Ma with the National Orchestra.
It would be really nice if we all stood and said the pledge when we bring.
Yeah, we're going to do that. I'll have everybody stand. Please stand for the presentation of colors by the Evanston Police Department Honor Guard.
Forward, march. Honor guards, halt. About face. Present, arms.
Please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Order, arms. Post, colors. Honor guards ready? Cut. Left, face. Forward, march.
Please be seated. Good evening. I'm Deputy Chief Jeff Jamraz, Support Services Division, and joining me this evening in presenting these awards in recognition are Deputy Chief Barb Whelan of the Field Operations Division and Deputy Chief Tom Kabansky of the Investigative Services Division. Together, we welcome our fellow officers, award recipients, family, and friends to this evening's award ceremony sponsored by the Evanston Police Department. The purpose of this ceremony is to publicly recognize police officers and citizens that have demonstrated commitment and dedication to the Evanston community that promotes a better quality of life in the city of Evanston. Our categories of awards include the Medal of Honor. This is the highest award that can be given to department members who, by an act of outstanding bravery or heroism, has demonstrated a great degree of selflessness and personal courage, which resulted in the saving of a human life. Without such actions by the department member, the person would have died or suffered great bodily harm. The Commendation. This is the department's second highest form of recognition. This is awarded to members who distinguish themselves and bring credit to the department by highly creditable or unusual acts in the performance of police duties. The Honorable Mention. This is the third highest form of recognition. It should be given for outstanding police work, such as singularly solving a serious crime or by individual initiative apprehending a criminal in the act of committing a crime. The Certificate of Recognition. This is the fourth level of recognition and is awarded for acts of service normally expected of a member in the course of everyday duties, but which merit recognition because of special circumstances. The Unit Citation. The Chief of Police may award to a unit, bureau, or specialty in recognition of their combined efforts toward the goals and mission of the department. Chief Special Recognition. The Chief of Police may present special awards to members or citizens based on exceptional service or contributions. The Police Service Commendation. Numerous members may be involved in special projects or dedication to duty that deserve the highest honor and recognition. The nominee should have accomplished something administratively or excelled in a specialty that has brought special credit to the department or to the city of Evanston. Officer of the Year Award. Officer of the Year Award by the Chief of Police to a police officer of any rank who has shown a consistent and exemplary high level of work in support of the department's mission and value statement, including support of the police and community partnership. And the Fitness Award, awarded for the most physically fit police officer and most improved police officer in physical fitness. At this time, I would like to invite the Honorable Mayor Elizabeth Tisdall and Chief Richard Eddington to step forward to present the awards. When your name is called, please proceed up to the front to receive your award. Those wanting to take pictures, please step forward when the recipient's name is called. Pictures are encouraged, and the mayor and chief are happy to take a moment to pose with those receiving the awards. This evening, I would like to start this event with our fitness awards. Officer Ted Sheenbein and Officer Stanley Sampson, please come forward. Presented to Officer Ted Sheenbein is the award of the most physically fit officer. And presented to Officer Stanley Sampson is the award for most physically improved. Congratulations to both of you. Officers Michael Jones, Tanya Noble, and Brian Rust, please come forward for the Officer of the Year award. Beginning in August 2008, the 5th Ward experienced an inordinate amount of crime unparalleled to the recent past. Serious criminal offenses as well as quality of life issues caused havoc throughout the ward. Policing efforts resulted in arrests, but quality of life issues for the residents remained unchanged. In particular, the 1900 block of Jackson was a major cause of concern for the residents as they experienced drive-by shootings, drug dealing, gang activity, and public drinking. These problems continued throughout the year. In early 2009, working with Alderman Dolores Holmes, a plan was devised to supplement the 5th Ward with 2 foot patrol officers. The goal was twofold. One, to have foot patrol officers Brian Rust and Michael Jones maintain vigilance in the ward while developing better community relations and gather information regarding criminal activity. And 2, the problem-solving officer, Officer Tanya Noble, who work with landlords, business owners, residents, and other governmental agents to develop a long-term strategy to rid the area of crime and reestablish a quality of life acceptable for the residents. Efforts by these 3 officers included on-view arrests, developing information to pursue and rid the neighborhood of drug dealers, identify and cite slum wards, revoke subsidized housing vouchers for career criminals, work with the civil enforcement team on nuisance premises, and conflict resolution workshops, resolving conflicts at home, school, and within the community. All 3 officers attended numerous ward, community, and block meetings. They managed to establish a trust with the residents and work together to maintain the tranquility in their neighborhoods. The residents have developed a renewed pride in their neighborhood and a confidence in their police department as ward residents increase their calls to the police department to report suspicious activity and nuisance complaints. The results? The targeted area of 1900 Jackson has seen a dramatic change as targeted criminals have been removed as well as slumlords and problem tenants. Calls for service were mapped between August 2008 and April of 2009. Again, they were measured against August 2009 and April 2010. In comparison, the calls for service dropped an impressive 96%, from 1,181 incidents to 50. The efforts of these officers working with the community deserve special recognition and attention. Congratulations. At this time, I would like to introduce Deputy Chief Whelan to make the next presentations.
Good evening. I'm Deputy Chief Barb Weedland, and I will be speaking to the recipients of the honorable mentions. Would Chris McMahon please come forward? On June 4th, 2010, you observed 4 suspicious people who appeared to be casing a residence in your neighborhood. You immediately called 911 and reported in detail the descriptions of the subjects, transportation, and direction of travel. Before police arrived, you continued to observe the suspicious people and videotaped them. The police officers were able to apprehend all 4 subjects, and you were able to positively identify the subjects. You provided the videotape to the Evanston Police Department in order to strengthen our case. The arrest of these 4 subjects cleared 2 additional burglaries. Your willingness to get involved has made your neighborhood a safer place. We present you with this honorable mention. Thank you. Would Genesis Gomez please come forward? On September 16, 2010, you observed someone being battered and robbed. You immediately came to the aid of the victim. While running to the aid of the victim, you encountered the suspect and were able to recover the backpack that was stolen from the victim. When Evanston Police Department units arrived on scene, you were able to provide a complete and accurate description of both offenders. Your unselfish act and attention to detail led to the arrest of the offenders and safety of the victim. We present you with this honorable mention. Would Officer Anna Ostap and Detective James Pillars please come forward? On December 16, 2009, you and your partners were on a directed patrol in the West Alley of the 1900 block of Brown, an area that you knew was the location of a recent shooting and frequented by gang members known to carry firearms. While patrolling the alley, you observed a black vehicle partially obstructing the public alley with 2 subjects inside. You observed the occupants make furtive movements as if to conceal themselves, and upon approaching the vehicle, noticed the subject in the rear passenger seat make furtive movements as if to conceal something in the rear-facing pouch of the driver's seat. You and your partners took immediate action and ordered the 2 subjects out of the car for further investigation. After taking the rear passenger into custody for an outstanding arrest warrant, a loaded .357 Magnum handgun was located in the rear-facing pouch of the driver's seat. Your keen observation and investigative skills led to the recovery of a loaded handgun from a wanted felon. We present you with this honorable mention. Would Detective Gil Levy please come forward? On December 3rd, 14th, and 15th, 2009, there were a series of armed robberies that occurred in which the offenders ordered food items or taxi service to various locations and then proceeded to rob the victims by displaying handguns and inflicting physical violence. On all 3 occasions, the offenders used a pay-as-you-go cellular phone to place the service calls. You were aware of the telephone number, and during a narcotics arrest investigation, you discovered the telephone in question in possession of the offender. The subsequent investigation by you and your partners led to the arrest of the subject, who was ultimately charged with 3 counts of armed robbery. Your awareness of the telephone number used in these robberies and keen investigative skills aided in the apprehension of a dangerous offender who caused bodily harm to victims working in the city of Evanston. Thank you. Would Officer Phil Lang please come forward? On February 11, 2010, you responded to the area of Church and Dodge to assist your partners who had detained several subjects that had refused to disperse. You conducted a safety pat-down of a subject and discovered a handgun in the person's waistband. You quickly secured the subject and called out to your partners to secure the weapon. Your excellent observations and officer safety skills prevented possible armed violence in the area of Evanston Township High School and led to the removal of a loaded weapon from the streets of Evanston and an unlawful use of weapon charge against the offender. We present you with this honorable mention. Would Detective Dan Mokas please come forward? In December 2009, you started a narcotics investigation in the area of Greenleaf and Lee in response to a citizen complaint. Over the next several months, you identified the subject who was selling cannabis from the area and then posed as a purchaser. You were able to purchase cannabis from the offender on several different occasions and implemented surveillance and detailed accounts of the transactions with the help of your partners. Based on your investigation, a search warrant for the offender's premise was obtained, which led to the arrest of 2 subjects, the recovery of 900 grams of cannabis, and a seizure of approximately $5,000. You placed yourself in danger multiple times while undercover, and your efforts resulted in multiple felony charges against 2 offenders. We present you with this honorable mention. Would Detective Mike Andre please come forward? In February 2009, after receiving information about a gang member selling narcotics in Evanston, you initiated an investigation which resulted in an undercover operation. You posed as a narcotics purchaser and bought several different narcotics from the offender on 3 separate occasions. You coordinated the surveillance and detailed the transactions with the assistance from your partners. You placed yourself in volatile situations, and your investigative efforts resulted in the recovery of 30 grams of ecstasy, 124 grams of cannabis, 28 grams of psilocybin mushrooms, and multiple felony charges against the offender. We present you with this honorable mention. Would Officers Jason Caudle and Richard Tyson please come forward? On July 8, 2010, a fellow officer attempted to conduct an investigative stop of a subject. The subject fled, and the fellow officer provided information regarding his location. You and your partner responded to the area and pursued the subject. The subject was quickly apprehended by you, your partner, and fellow officers. While trying to place the subject into custody, it was discovered the subject had a loaded .40 caliber handgun in his waistband. Due to excellent teamwork, the subject was safely disarmed and there were no injuries to the officers. We present you with this honorable mention. Can you please remain? You got another one coming. On August 8, 2010, you responded to a call of shots fired. A flash message was transmitted that provided the description of the subject. You and your partner located a subject matching this description. You attempted to conduct an investigative stop, and the subject ran. During the foot chase of the subject, you observed the subject remove a handgun from his pants and toss it to the ground. The subject was apprehended and you recovered the handgun. Your keen eye and attention to detail were key in apprehending this subject and locating the handgun. We present you with this honorable mention. Would Detective Matt George please come forward? On August 1, 2010, an aggravated sexual assault occurred in the 600 block of Grove. You volunteered to assist with the search of the area immediately following the assault. You located critical evidence in the alley of the 1500 block of Sherman. The evidence was identified by the victim as the hat worn by her attacker. A walkie-talkie was also found, which tied the subject into the false impersonation of the police charge. Because of your tenacity and thoroughness, key evidence was located that tied the offender to the crimes. We present you with this honorable mention. Would Detective Adam Pack and Officer Matt Yates please come forward? On August 30th, 2010, you observed a career burglar riding a bicycle unsafely in the 300 block of Custer. Having knowledge the subject was recently released from prison and on parole for laundry room burglaries, an investigative stop was made. A backpack containing a pry bar, assorted screwdrivers, chisel, and latex gloves were found on the subject. During the investigation, a burglary to a laundry area was discovered in close proximity to the subject's arrest. Footwear impressions and pry tool marks were matched to the offender's property. It was through your keen observation and knowledge of this criminal's history that 2 burglaries were solved, and this career criminal was appropriately charged with the crimes. We present you with this honorable mention. Would Officer Nate Basner please come forward? On December 21st, 2010, officers responded to a call of a disturbance. You were one of the first officers to arrive on scene. You located and detained the offender. Once you had the offender detained, you were able to learn information and record statements from the offender. The information you learned and the statements you recorded were very important in the offender being charged with murder. We present you with this honorable mention. Would Officer Chris Tortorello please come forward? He's not. Okay. Okay, then I'm going to turn this over to Deputy Chief Kabansky. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. It's my privilege to present the Chief Special Awards along with some service accommodations. Would Mr. Bob Heiberger and I see part of his staff, Mary Beth Jameson, would you please step forward, please? The 2100 block of Durrow has been plagued by crime and chronic nuisance activity for over a decade. Disturbances, drug activity, alcohol violations, gang loitering, juvenile disorder were daily events. The poor quality of life in the block left residents fearful and withdrawn and allowed criminals to gain a foothold in the neighborhood. In 2007, the Evanston Police Department began in collaboration with the Evanston Bond and Mortgage to improve conditions at this 10-unit rental property that is owned at 2113 to 2115 Darrow. This building was identified as a nucleus for crime and disorder in the area. A valuable partnership began when the police and Evanston Bond and Mortgage owners, Bob Heiberger and the staff, worked to identify and remove problem tenants who were the catalyst for criminal activity at that location. Despite immeasurable financial loss, Evanston Bond and Mortgage sought to improve the lives of their loyal tenants, and that the area families are often innocent victims of the turmoil. From 2008 to 2009, Evanston Bond and Mortgage evicted troubled tenants and refused to renew the leases of anyone involved in criminal activity or whose conduct disrupted the peace of other residents. They then began the renovation of the aging townhouses, and the results were remarkable. A sweeping reduction in criminal activity and visible improvement in the quality of life in the 2100 block of Darrow. Crime statistics demonstrate that the police calls for service fell over 50% at that location, while the overall crime in the block was reduced by 70%. Mr. Heiberger, we would like to present you and your staff with this Chief Special Award. Would the following personnel please step forward? Sergeant Dennis Prieto, officers Nathaniel Basner, Heidi Bernhardt, Larry Miller, Anna Ostap, William Teasley. Formed only recently in 2009, the Department's Honor Guard is numerically small, but disproportionately large in the ceremonious respect and dignity it affords deserving others. The individual Guard members commit a significant amount of self to Honor Guard training and service. The collective result is the Guard that epitomizes all that is best about the Department, a fact recognized not only internally but externally, as evidenced by many accolades received from the community. We'd like to present you with the service commendation. Officer Ostap will remain, and please, the following officers, please step forward. Officer Brian Rust, Michael Jones, Jeff Faison, Jason Cole, Patrick Wozniak. Oh, and Officer Levy, I'm sorry. Detective Gil Levy. For the past 2 years, the Rapid Deployment Training Team has enhanced the safety of its fellow officers by providing them notable in-house training. By doing so, the team has commendably upholds a long-standing department tradition of sworn personnel producing excellent in-house training for their officers. We present you with the service commendation. And Officer Ostap, one more time, please. Will the following personnel please step forward? Commander James Hutton, Sergeant Joseph Dugan, Sergeant Patrick Moran, Detective Gil Levy, Detective Daniel Mokas, Detective James Pillars, Detective Michael Andre, Detective Elizabeth Lynn, Officer Anthony Sosa, Detective Matt George. And will the following agencies please come forward? The Cook County Sheriff's Police, the Cook County State's Attorney's Investigators, the United States Department of Agriculture, the Wilmette Police Department, the Northbrook Police Department, and the Cook County State's Attorney's Office.
Receiving for Cook County Sheriff's Police. Wilmette PD. Northbrook Police Department. Cook County State's Attorney's Office. United States Department of Agriculture, and the Cook County State's Attorney's Investigators. Okay, all right. Well, I'm glad you checked it out for them, so they're good. Okay.
The Evanston Police Department's Neighborhood Enforcement Team spearheaded and coordinated a multi-jurisdictional law enforcement effort targeting gang members and street-level open-air drug markets. This operation began back in April of 2010 and involved the Evanston Police Department, Cook County Sheriff's District gang units, Cook County State's Attorney's investigators, the Northbrook and Wilmette Police Departments, the United States Department of Agriculture, and the Cook County State's Attorney's Office. Members of the Evanston Police Department unit reviewed citizen complaints, analyzed crime patterns, and orchestrated deployment initiatives. Resulting from this analysis, members of the neighborhood enforcement team identified locations and individuals involved in open-air drug markets and various other criminal activities. Furthering this operation, now dubbed Operation Hard Swipe, police employed surveillance techniques, confidential informants, and undercover police officers. These operatives were able to make street-level narcotic purchases, and many transactions were being videotaped. Undercover officers also did an excellent job in establishing a relationship with street-level drug dealers, increasing their ability to buy ever larger quantities of narcotics. In total, 64 undercover narcotic purchases were made, many within 1,000 feet of churches, parks, schools, making these transactions felonies. As an outgrowth of Operation Hard Swipe, investigators determined that various individuals were operating a drug market out of Ramey's food store, located at 1723 Simpson Street in Evanston. Additionally, investigators learned that the employees of Ramey's were conducting fraudulent transactions with the state of Illinois link cards. These fraudulent transactions involve link card recipients falsifying food purchases and then dividing cash associated with those purchases amongst themselves and Ramey's store employees. In September of 2010, Operation Hard Swap investigative efforts culminated in a street-level arrest sweep and execution of 4 search warrants, resulting in the arrest of 16 individuals. Investigators also seized over 26 grams of crack cocaine, 11 grams of heroin, 18 grams of ecstasy, 26 grams of MDMA, and over 350 grams of cannabis. As a result of Operation Hard Swipe, the streets of Evanston and its neighboring communities are significantly safer, and that police also recovered 5 handguns and 1 shotgun. Drug dealers are also impacted financially when investigators seized drug proceeds totaling over $23,000. The Evanston Police Department and the Evanston community would like to thank all of the agencies involved in their dedication to law enforcement officers and prosecutors who made Operation Hard Swipe such a resounding success. Congratulations.
Please recognize our recipients of this evening with another round of applause. This concludes our award ceremony for the evening. On behalf of Mayor Tisdall, Chief Richard Eddington, and the executive staff of the Evanston Police Department, we would like to thank you for attending this celebration of awards to our members and citizens of the city of Evanston. Please join us in some refreshments and have a good evening. Thank you.